it is. There it is. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 46 of the Tellman and Fellman Show. My name's Harris Fellman, and that attractive bald guy over there is
Tellman Knudsen. And it's absolutely awesome that we have episode 46 and our special guest, Anik Singal, who you're going to learn a lot about here today. What do you have to say about Anik, Harris?
Well, first of all, if you guys aren't familiar with Anik, I'm surprised. Anybody that's watching this probably will be familiar with Anik, but he's the founder and CEO of Learn. He hasn't always been the founder and CEO of Learn Inc., but that's L-U-R-N, which I've always found ironic that it's not spelled. It's a word about learning, and it's not spelled like anyway. Learn is an entrepreneur-focused platform that provides digital marketing, education, and resources. Anik is an expert in affiliate marketing, which is really how I know him, email marketing, which is also how I know him, and digital entrepreneurship, helping individuals build online businesses. So he's got over 2 decades of experience, like many of our guests. Anik has educated over 200,000 students globally, emphasizing ethical business. I got to get it around my phone. Ethical business practices and creating financial freedom through online opportunities. And he's also a best-selling author and speaker. It got cut off. And a best-selling author and speaker. Please welcome Anik Singal.
Wow. Having a hard time over there, Harris?
Yeah. When we're too long, it goes behind my camera. I got my camera here, so this is my trick for decent eye contact sometimes. There we go. Anyway, hey Anik, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for the intro. Appreciate that awesome intro. Thank you.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
Anik, I was mentioning a little bit before we went live that I've been reviewing the 30K in 30 days footage from that fateful day in Washington, D.C. so many years ago, where we got pulled up into a conference suite. And we actually included that as a bonus in a new course we just created about doing virtual summits. And it's been so cool. Like, cause I've just been going through it and like pulling out bullets and nuggets and things.
So we finished the sales letter. We go through it, and then we're about to go live. And Tellman's like, probably shouldn't call it 30K in 30 days on the sales letter, should we?
I feel that some people might have a problem with that. And so we changed it to Meeting with the Masters, which is what Tim and Jesse used for the website originally when they launched it. But it was cool. Just it's like a time capsule looking back so far. And so, dude, before we talk about how we met and how we connected, whether it was with Harris or with me or with both of us, whatever, how did you enter this world? What's your origin story? How did you begin in marketing and or internet marketing? Like, where did it all start for you?
Yeah, dude, it's a bit of an interesting story because it was like not meant to be. So first and foremost, if you haven't noticed, I'm Indian by descent, born and brought up in America. But growing up, I looked around and said, who's got the nicest cars, biggest houses, most respect? Doctors. And what do you see in a hospital when you walk in here in the US? Doctors that are Indian. And so it was just kind of like, I'll just do that. There was really no reason beyond that. So first I studied my ass off, worked really hard, got into this amazing pre-med program, full ride, full scholarship. I was on a one-way ticket into any med school I want.
Okay, so you did well in high school.
Here's what I'm going to say. I have never, ever been the smartest person in any room, but I have never been in a room where there was another person who could outwork me. So I did well in high school, but I did it through grit and I worked hard. And I got into this program where they take 60 people worldwide every year. Wow. It's very, very, very exclusive, very difficult. So the reason I say that is because I was done. Like even my parents were like, yes, we're so proud of him. He's good. Except within 6 weeks of being in that program, I'm like, holy shit, I'm absolutely miserable. Like, what the hell have I done? I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. If I have to go to one more biology class, I'm going to literally no, I can't do it. Right. Like I can't do it. So it took me 2 years and some support of some friends to muster up the courage to finally confess that, go talk to my parents. My parents are amazing. They didn't respond the way I thought they would. They said, hey, do what you got to do. We want you to be happy. So I left, and I left this.
Your parents aren't Indian?
They're Indian. They're Indian. They're just made of different material, man. They're awesome.
Great. That's good.
And so I switched. So here's the hit my dad has to take, right? I have to leave this university where I'm on this amazing path. I enter business school at a different university, lost my full scholarship, lost this proven path. Nobody in my family is really into business. And I went and studied finance. Within about a month of getting to the new school, when I went through a lot of stuff to get there, I hate it too.
Right.
Now I'm concerned. Now I'm genuinely like, oh my God, I'm going to be the broke college. Like I'm going to be the broke, like dropout in my parents' basement. Like what the hell's going on with me? And I don't like what I'm doing. And one thing I've really been good at, guys, and then I encourage everyone to like master this skill, is self-reflection. I've been very good at this since I was a kid. And so I just went into this mode where I'm like, okay, something's up. Let's go figure it out. Right. Let's not have a panic attack.
Right.
And when I did, I just realized one very simple thing. And that was, it wasn't what I was studying. I just was done. Like I was ready to go into the game. It's like asking me to continue warming up when I'm like, dude, my shoulders are ready. Let me pitch. Like I'm ready to go in and do this thing. So I was like, coach put me in. I wanted to go in and do something. This whole idea of work for, go to college for 4 years to get a job that makes me $35,000 a year and to be grateful for that didn't resonate with me. I didn't get it. So that was when Tellman, I was like, the hell with it. Let me go figure out something I can do. Well, I don't have a lot of money or any really. So I turned to Google. Google was new back then.
All right, hold on, pause.
So this
How
is what year?
old were you and what year was it?
So I first got serious about it junior year. I don't know how old I would have been, but junior year of college.
2021.
Yeah, 2021. Right. And you know what? You're right. I was 20 because I remember turning 21. I was already into this stuff when I was 21. And so
that's what, 2002, 2000? What is that?
2002. Yeah.
Okay.
Right around then. Yep. So Google was like new back then. So like I went to Google. Facebook barely existed back then.
Right.
And I went to Google, typed in how to make money. Literally, I typed those words in, and Google autofills for you, gives you recommendations. It autofilled online, and I thought, sure, why the hell not? We'll give it a go. Yeah. And that was how it began, man. After that, I went through all the usuals, right? The envelope stuffing, the survey taking, all that crap. Right. I never did any of it, but I found it. And I found my way over time into a forum back then called ablake.net /forum. I missed that place. And
Ablake, was it?
Ablake. Ablake. Okay, so Warrior Forum existed back then too, but there was like the Ablake community and the Warrior community. Like you were like, pick a side. And I met Marlon Sanders and like some of the OGs of our space, David and a bunch of other people. Like they remember me from Ablake and Brad Callen and a bunch of people. So Ablake was a space that Ablake was a chat board. It was less a forum, more of a chat board.
Yeah.
And God, man, that was my home for a while. Because we didn't have all these courses and these tools like ClickFunnels and Kajabi. We didn't have any of that crap, right? So I had to figure all this stuff out. I was using
you couldn't automate, you couldn't collaborate. You couldn't collaborate. I mean, not without spending thousands of dollars to have your own server and
dude, video hosting was like you couldn't have video on a page. It was like a thing,
right? No,
and
it was a total pain in the butt.
I used Front Page. I was so upset the day they got rid of Front Page. I thought Front Page was an amazing tool. I don't know why I got so much hate. It made me a lot of money. So it took me 18 months, Tellman. I kept messing around, dude. Here's a funny story about college. The first college football game I ever went to was homecoming after I graduated. I never did any of the frat parties, games. I would literally go to class. I had a part-time job. I'd work my part-time job. I'd study. And at night, between the hours of 11 and 3 in the morning, I would sit there and try to start my online business.
No, dude, I started my first business my freshman year in college. Like I started a salsa company out of my dorm room, like chips and salsa. And then by the time I was a sophomore, I was trying to figure out how to sell salsa on the internet and like reading Mining Gold on the Internet by Sean Casey. Like right around the same time.
There was no internet when I was in college. I did stuff some envelopes, I remember, and I was in Amway, and then I did eventually end up working for a company that was kind of predated the internet. It was a BBS company down in Florida called Galacticom, and then that introduced me to the web as soon as the web came out, and I was like, ooh, this.
That's right.
Yeah, dude, it was an interesting experience, and I would never exchange it for anything else. But it took me almost a year
So
and a half.
you still went through college then.
I
I thought
finished it. So here's what happens, right? So my junior year, I've been now at it for a little while. I finally start to see some success, but it took a lot, man. I almost quit. I was literally on my last 24 hours. I was so fed up, and I was, just you take failure after failure. Finally, something worked for me. You guys remember a software called Traffic Equalizer?
Yeah.
That was it, man. That was my breakthrough. I became a traffic equalizer consultant. I don't know how the hell I did it. And people started paying me a bunch of money. So first of all, I started selling it as an affiliate. So I would link to it at the bottom of my posts on Ablake. There was a signature line.
Okay. All right.
That's my first traffic.
Yeah,
and I would say,
right. Exactly.
The offer I gave was, I wrote a little page using Front Page. I said, hey, if you buy Traffic Equalizer through me, I will give you my phone number. So I will support you in using it. Because I was making like $20-$30 a day on AdSense with it. So but I had learned how to install it. And I'm not technical at all. So get this. This is a funny story. Talk about OGs. So I published the page. The next day, I woke up. Okay, I woke up to over $300 in sales. And I damn near shit myself. I was like, what the hell? That was more money than I had made probably in 3 months.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, now we're in business. What did I just do? And I'm going to go post on Ablake all day today and get my signature file links out there. I have not put out the offer for more than 24 hours, and my phone rings. Okay, I have a cell phone. I'm in my dorm room, and I pick up. And it's this guy, and he's like, hey, I bought the software. I got your number. I'm like, shit, someone actually called me. What am I supposed to do? Turns out, who's the guy? Greg Caesar.
Wow. Okay.
Who ends up, it's so funny. This morning, he's sending me memes and stuff this morning. Like, we are still close friends. He was at my wedding. He's still one of my closest friends. And we ended up chatting, and his first thing, you got to know Greg, and I wish I could talk like him, but he's like, man, why would you give your phone number? Are you crazy? And I'm like, I didn't know anyone would actually call. And he's like,
and you're the only one that's called me.
I'm like, you're the only one who called. And he's like, you're about to get blasted, you idiot. Like, I'm like, all right. So, so then Greg was doing well already, and he gave me some tips, and one thing leads to another, man. I get this random message from one of the people who bought through me. He's like, I don't want your phone number. I want to just PayPal you. PayPal was new back then. I want to PayPal you $500. I had to figure out how to get a PayPal account. I want to PayPal you $500. Can you just go in and do it for me? Just install the thing. I don't want to deal with it. Well, here's the deal. It took me less than 2 hours to install it and test it and everything. Right? I'm like, $250 an hour for a broke college kid. Are you freaking kidding me? Hell yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, right? And so I did that. He sends me another $500 without even asking the next morning. He's like, do it on this site. Okay, I did it there. Messages me the next day. I got a buddy. He has 3 sites. He's willing to give you $1,500. Are you game? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, wait, is this an offer? So what I started doing, back end offer without even knowing what the hell. That's right. Anyone who bought the software through me as an affiliate, I started emailing them individually saying, hey, I got a software. I got this. And a bunch of people would take it. Right. Then I reached out to Jeff Adams, the creator of the software. I said, hey, can you, or Jeff something, not Adams, Jeff, I can't remember his name. He's going to kill me. So I reached out to him. I said, can you just message everybody that buys the software that I offer this service? Dude, it blew up. I started making so much money. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So then I created my first course. Someone told me you can screen record yourself doing this. That was the first time I learned about Camtasia. And they're like, yeah, you can burn it on discs. Yeah, TextSmith. You can burn it on discs. And I'm like, who the hell would buy that? They're like, just try it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I sold a course for $500. It was a physical printed unit, and within a matter of weeks of that.
And guys, this is before YouTube, so he had
to way before YouTube. Yeah,
right. So you had to put it on a DVD to get it out.
Yeah. So you know what we did? I now I'm selling 10 of these a day sometimes. How do you make 10 of them? Right? The UPS. Are you
still in college at this point?
I'm in college. I'm in my college dorm, like not dorm. It's an apartment, on-campus apartment. I've got roommates.
And how much was each one? How much was each one? Do you remember?
$500.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not doing any paid traffic or anything. I mean, it's not. So I set up like 4 computers in my dorm room. So we have an apartment. And it was 4-bedroom apartment, 4-bedroom, 4 bathrooms. I had my own room. I set up 4 computers, like little sweatshop.
Yeah.
And people in there. My friend, I got a couple people I hired, just feeding them Red Bulls, and it's just like they're burning discs and making these products. And the USPS guy would come by every day to pick them up, and he was like, what the hell you got going on in here? And I found out Apparently, I found out later, he admitted to me, he's like, when he took the boxes back at the Postal Service, they opened one of them because they were convinced I was doing something wrong.
Right. I bet a lot of people probably thought, I mean, like, where's this college kid all of a sudden showing up with thousands of dollars in the bank account?
Right.
Yeah. So, well, and you would never know though. I mean, I wasn't spending it. I didn't know what I was doing, dude. I was making so much money. I literally did not know what to do with it. So I just kept putting it in the bank account and I was more about the business and more about the love of like what the hell was going on than I was about the money.
Right.
And this is when I know I made it. Okay. So a shortcut. So in this whole process, I'm building I have started building an email list.
Yeah.
Like someone taught me the whole idea of I copied David D'Angelo, Evan Pagan,
That's right?
I had an exact replica, little yellow, ugly ass opt-in page like he did, and it worked. It was working like crazy. Brad Callen calls me up and he says, I'm launching this software called SEO Elite, or something.
Right. No, that's right. That's right.
Something like that. He's like, can you help? I said, sure. He's like, John Reese just said he's in. I said, oh, Mr. John Reese? I want to kick his ass. So I want a special deal. And he's like, what do you want? I said, I want a coupon for X amount off. I want to be able to promote it the day before it goes live. Here I am negotiating perks and bonuses. I don't even know what that stuff means at that time.
Right. Yeah.
And he says, yes. Later on, he said he regretted doing it because I cleaned up. All right, my list was like 10, like not even 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And I made so much.
When you don't know any better, you can get away with so much.
Yeah. And so here's the funny thing, okay? So the first payment from ClickBank for that promo, this is the first of many payments that were about to come, was $32,000. That was my commission, okay? So what happens is they sent a check, and they sent the check to the address on record, which is my parents' house.
Yeah.
And my dad would open my mail. He saw that. I get a phone call that says, come home right now.
Ooh.
Come home immediately. And my house was
about 40 minutes.
40 minute drive.
Okay.
I got really worried. I thought there was something going on with my parents' health or whatever. So I'm racing back home. I get home, I walk in. My mom seems fine. She's in the kitchen, but she's got this face on her. I said, what's wrong? She's like, go talk to your father right now. I walk into the office and my dad's on the phone and he looks pissed. And you know who he's on the phone with? Kinetics or whatever it was. It was ClickBank. He's on the phone. He's trying to get information. And I hear the lady on the other side. She's like, sir, I cannot divulge any more information. You are not Anik Singal. He's like, I demand to know what this is for. What is he into? What are you guys doing? What does your company do?
Right.
I was like, whoa. I read real quick. I'm like, hey, yeah. Relax. I said, okay. So I hung up the call. I said, okay, I'll show you what I do, man. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not like, and he finally took about 20 minutes to understand it. And he leans back and he looks at me. He goes, so this is completely, I said, Dad, it's just selling software. Like I made it. I finally did it. You've been watching me try for years. You know what I mean? And he just looks at me and he gets this look on his face. Now, you got to know about my dad. My dad grew up in a village with no electricity. He used to study under candles and street lamps that were down the street, mile down the road. He went on to become a master's in nuclear mechanical engineering. Wow. He ended his career working for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for the government and was the head of 2 nuclear power plants from the government perspective, powering like 10 million houses. Thought that was ironic, right? You start. So he did a lot. He's a brilliant man, and he took our family to the next level. And so he leans back. Now he's making good money, but not making $30,000 in a couple of days kind of money. And he leans back and he looks at me. He finally calms down and he goes, "It's not fair." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "What is this?" Right? And he was proud of me, but he was just laughing. He was like, "What the hell?" Like,
right. Come on. Like,
and then I was like, "Dad, you don't even know what's in my PayPal account, guys. I had like 200 grand in my PayPal account. I hadn't even moved it out of there because I told you I didn't know what the hell to do with it. This money was like this." And then I tell him I had 200,000 on my PayPal account. I thought the guy was about to pass out. He was like, "What is going on?"
That's like more than he made in a year, I'm sure.
Yeah, by far. And so that was my junior year. To answer your question, Harris, by the end of junior year, I was making multiple 6 figures a year. By senior year, I was on track to do $1 million that year. And that was the same year because at the same time, my part-time job, I was a financial planner. I had my Series 6, 23, and 26. And I was doing really well. I had a lot of money under management. And so the word got out about that. So all of a sudden I have a job offer from Charles Schwab, JP Morgan, and Morgan Stanley to come work in Wall Street as an investment banker and make a shitload of money. And that is the dream job of someone who is doing, who's doing finance at a college, and I was so conflicted. I'm like, what do I do? Like all my friends were like, yeah, take it. And I'm like, I don't want to. And guess who I turned to? I turned to my father and I said, Dad, what do I do? And now my dad, I thought, would absolutely say, take the job. And my dad looked at me and asked me one simple question. He said, son, I'm going to ask you one question. I want you to answer as fast as you can. I said, yeah. He goes, 10 years from now, what do you see yourself doing? Working high up in a big company or having your own company? And I didn't even blink an eye. I said, having my own company. And he looks at me and he says, don't take the job.
Yeah.
And he's like, because I know how you are. You're going to take the job. You're going to kick ass at it. You're going to excel. And they're going to put the golden cuffs on you. In 5 years, you'll never be able to start your own business because the amount of money that you'll be making, the risk you'll have to take will be too great. Today, you live home. Live here. We feed you. We do everything. You can take any risk you want. Here's the irony of it, guys. I graduated, I was making over $1 million a year in revenue. Guess where I ended up? My parents' basement. That was my biggest fear. But, I was traveling the world. I didn't have time. And then, you guys remember Dave Woodward did that series where he went around marketers' houses. It was like the cribs of marketers.
Yeah.
So Dave and I became good friends after that because, guess what my house was? It was my freaking parents' house, man. He comes over to do the house. I never even thought about it. See, it's my parents' house. So I was an arrogant little prick too on that interview. I was a cocky asshole. And I swear, I'm not like this. I used to haggle Dave for the longest time. I'm like, dude, you wronged me in the editing. Like, what the hell? I came off so bad. And I'm like, yeah, this is I bought this room for my parents. I built this extension. But all our industry took away from that was I live at my parents' house.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I show up at the next event, okay? Matt Bazak walks up to me, okay? So I grew up looking up to him. Now I'm speaking on the same stage as him. He walks up to me. He's like, so, you still eat, you still have your mama make you some dinner at home? I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. Every speaker on stage took my case. So you know what? 3 or 4 months after that episode release, guys, I went and bought an apartment or a condo just so I could say I have my own place.
That's right.
I didn't even live in it for the first year and a half. I'd still live at home. All right. And what we would do, it was so crazy. What we would do is like Friday night, I'm going to have my buddies over. We're going to smoke some shisha and have some drinks. We'd meet at my house. And then when everything was wrapping up, it's time to leave. I'm leaving with them. They're like, where are you going? I'm like, my parents.
I'm going home.
I'm going home. All my shit's over there. Because I was traveling, guys. I was in India a month there, a month here, a month there, a month here. Then I was speaking in Singapore, Malaysia. Then I'm speaking all over the U.S. I was never home. So it was nice to just come home, have mom.
No, dude. I mean, what a great thing. And also, it also says a lot about your relationship with your parents. Like, I think it's actually great. A little bit weird, especially for the time, but still, it's awesome. Like, what a great story.
Like, no. So, and we still have a great relationship. Like,
it's actually a really unique story too. I don't think I've talked to anybody, not much less on here that had kind of the, the grit that you have is different, I think, than most people that we talk to, which is, you had you had dual success and you had to choose a direction. And I don't think I talked to too many people, at least in the way they tell the story, and at least as early on in they're finding their internet success. It's usually, I'm going to cut from this thing that I figured out that I don't like. I mean, you were really young when you came into it as well. I just saw myself doing this again on the replay. It's really weird. I'll be the gift.
So that's how everything really got rolling and up and running and started figuring some stuff out. And so then since then, a long time has passed, right? And obviously we don't have time to go into every detail or whatever. So to think back, okay, that's how things got rolling. That's how things got started. And what have you learned in the last 20 years? Like over that frame, like what have you found to be some of the most important or critical lessons or principles that have shaped how you operate as a person and as an entrepreneur, in everything you're doing?
So first and foremost, don't name your product 30K in 30 days. I learned that the real hard way.
That's right.
Gosh, man, I've learned so many things. I'll tell you the one thing that I ruminate about the most. I don't have regrets, but if there's something I could change about my entrepreneurial journey, I would change this. And it's funny because I saw Alex Becker make a post about this morning. I was listening to an episode by Patrick Bet David, and I think he just kind of he more eloquently said the thoughts that I'd been having the last few years anyways. And that is, we all only have 24 hours in a day. And I think to even be somewhat functional, we have to sleep, at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours a day. So let's just say, even if you're the hustlers of hustlers and you don't give a shit about your health, you're going to sleep at least 4 hours a day. So 20 hours is what you have. It's the same 20 hours Tellman that you and Harris, you and that I have, and that Elon Musk has, and Bill Gates has.
Maximum. I mean, really, it's
maximum. Oh no, I know. I'm giving you. I'm being completely exaggeratory on purpose. Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm out here learning, guys, is that it takes about the same amount of energy to build a company that does $1 million or $2 million a year as it does to build a company that does a couple $100 million a year. I know that sounds ridiculous, but after 20 years, if I have to culminate all of my advice, I'd say pick the right car, pick the right vehicle, pick the right mission, right thing to match what you want. Now, not everyone wants to build a couple $100 million a year company. I get that. I do, and I did. That's my personal goal. And the vehicle upon which I had parked my ass for a long time just wasn't capable of it. Or it was, but it was like pulling teeth and nails. It was just going to be me moving a mountain, right? So right now, Complyly is a software that we're building, and to sell it to a marketer for $100 a month, I feel like I have to literally just I don't know. I have to market till my face falls off and convince them, and they probably leave in 3 months, and they're a pain in the ass half the time. And here I am, like right now, I'm in a meeting right now with a investment advisory firm that has a couple $1 billion of assets under management. And it was a very practical conversation. They said, if you can have this feature, we'll take it. And that would be a couple thousand a month account. And it would save with me for 5 years. And that account would be, so is it going to take more work? Sure. It takes a little bit longer to make the deal happen, but I just want to expand the minds of those who are listening, especially the OGs. You guys have skill sets that you don't even realize the value of what those skills carry in other markets. And that's been my big takeaway. So as I've had a kind of a forced reset on me over the last couple of years, I've decided, how do I make lemonade out of this lemon? And for me, it was like, well, Patrick Bet-David put it this way. He says, when he first started his career 20 years ago, he asked himself a very simple question. He said, what am I willing to do for 20 years?
Yeah.
That's the question. What business am I willing to build for 20 years? Because a lot of us marketers, man, we're so used to these $1 million launches, this and that. We think in a really weird time frame. And none of that, the other statement I'll give you, which is, that which you build very fast will crumble even faster. And that which you build slowly will last you a lifetime. So today, I'm building purposely my company very slowly, on purpose, by design, because I want to build a solid foundation. And it was like, well, what are you willing to do for 20 years? Well, I had a life-altering issue with compliance, and it's left a mark. And I can see myself spending the next 20 years advocating and helping and supporting and diving into that. The other thing is just, I'm 41. And I like to look at my life. I like to basically say you have 3 20-year tranches, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80.
Right.
I don't want to be operating a company by the time I'm 60 to 80. I want to be maybe investor. I want to have passive. So this is it. This is my 20 years, right? Now I got all this knowledge from the first 20 years. This is my opportunity to pick. So I got to be very careful what vehicle I park my ass in, and what opportunities I say yes to and what opportunities I say no to. And I'm going to make or break my legacy right now with what I say no to, not with what I say yes to. And so my advice from the last 20 years of being a marketer is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little weird. It's not going to be like, oh, learn Facebook ads or become a great copywriter. These are skills and tactics, and they're all important. But what I have seen is so many of our friends in the OGs in the space, it's like, they're brilliant. They're damn good, man. And we swim with sharks, and it's like we take those skill sets into a different pool. All of a sudden, we're still a shark, but the rest of the people around us aren't. Right? I mean, I'm working on deals right now for Complyly, whether they come through or not, that are 10, 20, 50,000 a month offers, deals. I don't know. Maybe they will come through, maybe they won't. But I'm at how many $100 a month clients do I need to match $50,000 a month client? Right. So I just want everyone, and whether it's SaaS or it's an agency or I don't know what it is, but are you in the right vehicle that allows you to live the life you want, make the money you want, have the exit or not have an exit or have a business you pass down generations? Like, what are you doing?
Well, so I mean, these are big questions, and I mean, they're questions that I think. I mean, every time I ask them, I'm still filled with uncertainty. Like sometimes I'm like, yeah, but wait, and I'm like, wait, And so for you, and for the viewers, like, how? Like, what are some right? Like, I mean, it's.
Well, I mean, I have that written too. It's just my how is a little bit more specific though. Like, you're so. I think I'm following along. Complyly is you mentioned it earlier before the show. I think that it's an AI tool for compliance on, I guess, websites or on everything, right?
Yeah.
And you've decided maybe it's in addition to marketing it to internet marketers, as we know, digital marketers, smaller entrepreneurs, that you're also marketing it to larger businesses, basically. How did you and how do you think someone else might be able to make that shift?
Yeah. So, trying to just the most blunt way to answer this question is I dealt with a traumatic incident that overtook my life. And I think I'm actually working on a book right now, guys. I'll give you the subtitle. I don't want to give up the name just yet, but the subtitle is How to Turn Your Greatest Tragedy into Your Greatest Victory. And I actually thoroughly believe that a lot of people are sitting on tremendous opportunities buried away in the PTSD that they have of things. So for me, my personality is a type that I take things head on. So, in a comedy show, good luck trying to get me embarrassed, because I'm going to come up there and rad myself out. I'm going to put it all out on the line ahead of you, ahead of anyone. I always had a joke: if I ever run for politics, I'm going to create a website. I'm going to create a page on my website that says, here's all the skeletons.
Here's all the dirt. Let me save you guys.
All my dirt. Here's all my skeletons.
I mean, Trump probably would do fine with that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, tell them more bad things.
Yeah.
More bad things about it.
Third grade, I dined and dashed from this restaurant. But when I was going through this FTC thing, the money was one thing, the fine was one thing, the shock, like the investigation was the most painful, traumatic thing I've ever experienced in my life. And that's coming from a guy that was in the ICU for 92 days, getting 2 pints of blood transfusion a day, had to go through a 10-hour surgery that he may or may not survive, 50-50. I did survive, and I went through hell for a year after that. I had to have more surgeries. And yet still, I say being investigated by the FTC for 18 months was worse. It really was. And halfway through it, I think the bigger thing I worried about was, what will people say? What will my parents say? What will my friends say? What will the people that were sitting next to me in 30 days say? And I didn't know. I know I've been good to everybody. I don't believe in most of what the FTC wrote about me. It's okay. We're Americans. We're allowed to have a difference of opinion, and they're not on my side on that one. I get it, but I didn't know, right? Am I going to get attacked on social media? Are there going to be 1,000 blog posts that pop up about me? Am I going to lose I don't know, when people do background searches on me in the future, what's going to happen? And that was just this reputation management. And I remember asking myself, I said, Anik, let's do crisis control on this then. What can we do about that? And the first thing that came to my mind was, own it. Don't let them tell my story. You tell the story. Don't let anyone else control your narrative. You control the narrative. So it started off as a very I want to do crisis management. Okay. So I was like, all right, well, how do I do that? Well, I'll get ahead of it. I'll make sure all my friends know. And I did. See, the way these things go viral is when you don't tell anybody and the news comes out and Harris sees the press release and goes, what the hell? And he goes, Tellman, did you know about this? I got you by the FTC. Tellman's like, what the hell? Hey, Armin, did you know this? And it's like, if Harris got that, it's like, oh yeah, I knew this was coming out.
Yeah, Anik said something about that a couple days ago.
It cuts off the whole reason to. It's not shocking or fun.
Yeah, it's no more drama, right?
Yeah,
the drama is diffused.
Okay, great. Well, then about 6 months into the case, and I only tell this story in detail, guys, because I want everyone here to understand what's behind the scenes, because it might conjure up some thoughts.
Well, back up one step. I don't think necessarily everybody that might see this knows. Whatever you're willing or able to say happened.
Yeah. So May of 2022, exactly a month after my wife has given birth to our first baby. And exactly weeks before, maybe 8-10 weeks before I'm about to sell Learn for a lot of money and make my dream come true. And exactly 2 weeks before I'm about to step down as CEO of the company, I get a beloved FedEx letter from the FTC that said, hey, we want to get to know you better. We want to be friends. You don't want that letter. That led to an 18-month gruesome investigation. Hey, listen, the FTC was incredibly professional. They never forced me to shut my business down. They didn't raid my offices. They didn't freeze my assets. Every time we asked for extensions, they gave it. They were professional. Although I don't agree with some of the things they thought, said, and concluded, we eventually settled after 18 months. And that 18 months was painful. Now, during that 18 months, the first thing is the fighter in me said, I'm going to own the story. I'm going to go out there and attack it before it comes out. Okay, great. The second thing happened about 6 months into the investigation when I started hearing their perspective and my now new attorney's perspective, because I didn't really feel the old attorney was sufficient. He hadn't protected me, in my opinion. And so the new person I brought on would review our material. And what I would hear him say, I'd say, what? We can't do that. Like, my whole case came down to 4 words, guys. My attorney, now this is not my words, my attorney says if these 4 words weren't on my sales calls, the entire case could have possibly been just thrown out. You ready for the 4 words? It'll shock you. What is your goal?
Really?
It's called goal setting. Find me one press release where the FTC has said goal setting is not allowed. There isn't one public piece of knowledge about that. The only reason my attorney knows that is because he's been in meetings with the FTC's leadership and they pulled that aside. They say we don't have to talk about it because it's considered an implied earnings claim. And we have plenty of material out there about implied earnings claims. Well, what am I supposed to have a dream about that and wake up? I would have happily asked my sales team to not say those 4 words if you would just go out and say, we don't allow goal setting. So I started learning all these things 6 months into the investigation. And now it turned into like, dude, I got to let people know. Like, I never knew these things. Most people never know these things. And let's face it, guys, we don't understand what the hell the lawyers say. They talk in their own language. And so now it turned into about like, okay, I got to write a book about this. So part of me owning this, I'm going to write a book about it and let people know. Then as I kept going through it, I started realizing I'm getting a lot of calls from people. So instead of judging me, a lot of people in the market were leaning on me and calling me to ask questions.
Yeah.
Right.
And I realized, is there an opportunity here? And then so I developed some AI-powered software for myself because I was tired of paying attorneys so much money for every little piece of thing and waiting, not the money as much as it was waiting 2 weeks for a review. ChatGPT is this big craze, AI. I'm like, can we develop it? Oh, dude, it took forever. We're still working on it. It's fine. I'm happy I'm doing it now. But if I knew it would take this long, I would have never done it. But now we develop something that can not replace attorneys, but really assist them. And so we wrote the book, released the book. The book's killing it. Then we released an academy that's killing it. And all of a sudden people are asking for more information about it. I got a podcast called Don't Say That. And the software is out. And now I'm having meetings with companies that want to pay us up to $500,000 a year to use it. I'm like, what the hell just happened? What happened was I have become incredibly passionate about compliance. I know it's not sexy. But when you hear me present it, by the way, I bet you I'll have you completely captivated. There's the way I tell it. I use my skills, right? I use my skills from having been on stage, from knowing how to keep people's attention, from doing webinars. And I'm able to use those skills of storytelling to get the message into people's minds. No attorney can do that. So people listen, they're thankful for it. They absorb the information, they make changes. I love seeing people take their copy and make it compliant because now I know why I sleep better at night. I feel like Batman. And I'll help one more person, like protect them from this. So I know this industry and the risks of being on the other side of it more than anybody will. And I've been able to carry my reputation into a place where it's been able to help me. Like, I'm the only person who's been through this type of case who could do this. And so the opportunity chose me, but I believe there is an opportunity like this for everybody who's watching. But it's probably hidden in the stuff that you don't want to, that hurt.
Right. It's hidden in the stuff that you're nervous to talk about.
Yeah,
right?
I'm certain I've been on I don't do a lot of sales calls, but I'm certain I've been taught to say, what is your goal? On sales.
It's future pacing. It's future pacing, and the FTC hates anything future pacing because they consider it manipulation.
And this is on the sales call, not on the website.
So is there have you come up with a better solution to not?
Tell me what's a workaround. No future pacing.
What's the solution to not asking their goal?
Yeah, great question. So I don't really deal with sales team stuff because we have a person on my team that has always managed our sales teams. We still do sales calls and we do great. They convert really well. We don't ask that question. The lawyer's advice was very simple. He said, stop speaking to that which you don't control. You can't control someone's results. You can control their experience with your program. Speak to that. Speak to what you deliver. Speak to what they can experience with your program. Do not speak to what goals they may or may not achieve from the program. So we've just, what we've been forced to do, guys, which has been a blessing in disguise, is just we've been forced to up level our target customer.
Yeah.
So we just went more up market now. So
right. What do you know why the FTC was even looking at you?
No, they'll never tell us. So during an investigation, they get to ask the questions. You can't ask anything back.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't know. I mean, I can tell you from what they asked about they send you a subpoena, right? It's called a CID, a civil investigative demand. And in that demand, they were quoting sentences out of my webinars, but I felt it was unfair because you do a 4-hour webinar and you pull one sentence. It's like there's context in that. Are you not going to consider the context? And but they have a rule called net impression. And if they watch your webinar and they think that the net impression of it was hypey and,
But their bar for hypey is much lower than ours, I'm sure.
Much lower. Yeah, exactly. So now what we do is we're just very much focused on skills, our deliverables, our credibility, and we make it go out of our way to say, hey, we don't speak to results. It makes it so that you're promoting up market. I mean, you're talking to a.
So let's talk about that.
That was a shift right there to up market that just happened kind of naturally because you changed the way you were having to do business.
Well, and you've shifted the types of problems that you're helping people solve, and people at different stages of business are thinking of, like, the only way you're thinking about compliance is if you got spanked or somebody close to you did, right? And if you're not running a business at a certain caliber, it's kind of like you're not even on anybody's radar.
Or if you're running a business of a certain caliber, like basically, right.
So who is, at this point, to the best of your understanding on it, who is your ideal client or customer?
Sure.
Who do you find is attracted to your material?
We're talking about for Complyly, or are we talking about for Learn?
So let me address that. There's basically two businesses now that are the main business, and Learn, for the moment, has been sunsetted as a name, and we're going to bring it back in a few years and actually bring it back as something completely different. We have two main businesses.
Spelled wrong again. I mean, TICH.
What's that?
I said it'll be called Teach, TICH.
Yeah, exactly. No, it'll be Learn. So it'll be Learn again. It's just going to serve a different market. But we have two different businesses. So one we have is called Expert Scale, and the other is our compliance business. And so both of them cater to similar yet different markets. What we're finding in the compliance business is as follows. The education is being sold to everybody, all the way from newbies, beginners, all the way through more advanced companies. They're interested and intrigued by the book and the academy and love it and love learning it. The software, however, is turning out to mostly be something that's for enterprises. So we're talking about businesses doing 5-10 million plus a year. We're talking to companies that do 100 to 200 to $1 billion a year right now. And we like that for the software. I think that's a better place to be for that business. But the education business allows me to get my message out and do what I originally started to do, which is nice. But the other, so there we cater to pretty much anyone who's in business, new experience or not. The Expert Scale business is where we have our Board of Experts Mastermind and some other offerings. It is scaling to what I would say is, imagine you are a marketer who wants to sell information products and you've been studying it for at least 1 to 2 years. So we have two demographics we target. One is the more known marketer, meaning if you say SEO to them, or if you say, top of funnel, or you say funnels, they just know what it is. They may not be great at doing it.
They know the language.
They know the language. That's our demographic number one that we target for that market. So we can focus with them on skills. And then demographic number two that we focus on for expert scale is anyone who is doing $500,000 a year or more and in an expert business. And so we've really defined I've been a lot more focused on avatar definition. Eben Pagan, I went to his Get Altitude event years
ago. I was there.
Oh yeah, right? Me too.
Okay. He did this whole thing on know your avatar, create your avatar. And I remember listening to him.
It's good.
And I remember literally, I don't mean any disrespect if Evan's watching this, I love you, dude. I was listening to him talk about that going, blah, 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 corporate bullshit, yada, blah, 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 blah. Here I am in my marketing 101 professor class. 20 years later, I'm like, dude, that was good advice. Know your damn avatar. And so just today in this meeting, I'm in a meeting and like they said, hey, you should really do this, and you could serve this market. And it sounded like a great opportunity. And 5 years ago, Anik would have been like, I'm in, let's do it. And today Anik was like, nah, it's not our avatar. That's not who we target. That's not what we do. I'm going to say no to this possibly multi-million a year opportunity so that I can address the other multi-million a year opportunity, which I'm more passionate about. So
right.
Yep.
I want to go back to one concept that I didn't really say the word, but it's you had started to talk about the idea that a lot of us can take some of our biggest problem or trauma and turn that into an opportunity. Like I was reading a book and it became too much for me called Arate. I don't know if you've read that. No. It's a 1,000-page book. It's you could probably get through it. But anyway, one of the things that it talks about, one of the things that I remember, my kind of thing that stuck to me the most was this concept of being anti-fragile, which is beyond resilience. So a lot of people are familiar with the term resilience. Something bad happens and you're able to get through it. But what you're talking about is taking the thing that is that has caused you harm and turned that into a strength,
right?
And that's really hard to look at when you're getting slapped in the face. But I just want to kind of bring that up because it's a strong concept.
Guys, I think there's a lot of therapeutic impact that happens too. So we have a joke. Not really a joke. So during the couple of years that I went through the FTC stuff, guys, if I began to make a list for you of all the shit I went through, not FTC, leave the FTC alone. That was one of my 17 problems during that time. Okay. The interest rates went so high that a large conglomerate company that we had leased a lot of our properties to went bankrupt overnight. This is a company that's been around forever. They were huge. Hedge funds had invested in them, family funds had invested in them. They're vetted. Our accountant team vetted them. They had different management. They blew all the money. They had a lot of variable interest loans and they went bankrupt and left us with multi-million dollars worth of property that when we went to visit, we found out they had abused the crap out of. And these properties are in horrendous situations. They're in a horrendous industry I want nothing to do with. And I'm standing to lose millions. And then at the same time, Florida sent us a notice. We didn't realize it. We have a short rental Airbnb property there. Something happened between switching management companies and we didn't renew our license. And apparently they had been trying to get a hold of us at the house that we don't live in. And they were fed up. And finally,
you were still at your mom's house?
Yeah, seriously. They were about to confiscate the property. They're about to auction the property off for the fines. And we caught it last minute. And we had certified letters and FedEx packages sent by the company that went bankrupt. We had dealt with a couple of other small lawsuits. We dealt with the FTC stuff. I got to a point, man, where for a while I had total PTSD. Do not hand me a FedEx package or a certified letter. I would run out the door. I'm serious. Would get massive anxiety. Yesterday, guys, I found out I'm being sued by somebody. It's not a big deal. It's a small suit. And the thing is, you've been in business long enough and do business big enough, you actually start to say, I actually got the call in the middle of us playing with my daughter. And my lawyer called me and I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, man, it's all good. I hung up the phone and started playing with my daughter. Didn't even process it. Forgot to tell my wife, told her that night. And even she goes, yeah, okay. Let the lawyers handle it. But I went through that much, right? But I'll tell you is, for me, being able to be out there and talk about this and do this and build this business and live in this passion, whether it be profitable for me or not, burned a lot of money. I'm not making any money right now, has been therapeutic, man. it's allowed me to deal with this situation to the point now. You know what I did? So I took the FedEx package that they sent, and I put it on my desk.
Oh, I like how you think, dude. This is cool. Yeah.
It's going to stay here until I no longer have a trigger with you. And I don't anymore. I forgot it's there. I don't see it anymore. I don't like having shit control me.
Right.
I get to control the narrative of my life, not anything else. So, that's kind of helped me. And, it does take a certain personality and makeup to do that. I don't think it's for everybody. I have a close family member is going through a really, really traumatic divorce right now. And I don't see them turning that into their mission at all. But I've seen plenty of people turn something like that into huge companies that they're proud of.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true, dude. So as you continue on with what you're doing and work doing all this compliance stuff, like, do you have any other, I guess, immediate, for people who are concerned that, because if they're not concerned, they're not paying attention anyway. For people who are concerned, they're making some money, their businesses are growing, and maybe somewhere in the back of their mind, they know that something on their sales letter isn't entirely honest. They know something might feel a little bit overhyped or out of alignment. Like, what do they do? Do they listen to your podcast? Do they buy your book? Like, what do they go to? Don't say that.
Can I say one thing before you answer that? I'm not even thinking about those people. I'm more thinking about the fact that people are in denial about what business that they're even in, and they're probably most likely they're not even thinking, oh, there's something too hypey. That's the freaking problem, Tellman. What is your goal? Is that too hypey on a sales call? Come on, like that's a shock. That should shock somebody. And I think people, like, I was in payment processing for a long time, and people would lose their accounts and like, oh, they did this and PayPal took this, and I'm like, you're forgetting what business you're in. Like, if you think that for a second, like, as soon as they take a look at you, like, so anybody in business, really, there, because the way the laws are written and interpreted, like, people should be way more concerned about this than even like, oh, I saw it, and I think I got something a little. But you do. If you're in internet marketing, you probably do.
Yeah. Look, I've got friends that are close to me that I've tried to warn that are doing big numbers, and I've literally said to them, I feel like you took my book and said, I'm going to do the opposite of every chapter, and you created a marketing plan based off that. Like, stop it. It's only a matter of time. Really, they're getting very aggressive. Just, in the last 2 weeks, I know of 2 marketers that have had complete asset freezes. Guys, they've gotten more aggressive. So now what they're doing is they're not messing around now. They don't do CIDs. They're not doing investigative documents. Now they're demands. They're just coming in and freezing all your shit and suing you straight up. Like, and it's a business. A lot of people just are in this illusion of like, and I don't judge them, because I maybe to a degree was in that delusion, but at the same time, I was doing a lot of things right. I had a full-time paralegal in the business. I had an attorney on retainer. I had a lot of limitations for my sales team. We had a great BBB rating. We had no complaints, super low refund rate, super low chargeback rate. We had happy customers.
No, I mean, I honestly, like, of all the different people out there that are super hypey, like, you tend to lean toward clean and less hypey stuff anyway. So it's just kind of like,
exactly. So for us, it was like, it was a bit of a shocker. I kind of, it's like driving. It's like being on a highway and there's like a bunch of cars going 90, 100, 120, and you're going 70 in a 60 zone, and cars are going 120, 150, and the cop pulls you over and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Right? Like, why me? Like, it's just because you had the red shiny car and he didn't like your car. So
what I'm struck with is, I mean, you don't need to be an attorney in order to open up a legal firm, do you?
You do. Yeah, you do.
Wait, in order to open one, in order to start one,
yes.
you have to be
there's like 2 or 3 states in which you can be a non-attorney and own equity in the firm, but you have to partner with an attorney. So, that's been something that we've considered doing, and I just haven't really walked into that. But guys, I'll be honest with you, I for a while thought about going to law school.
Right? No, it seems like it could be. Yeah.
I've gotten so fascinated by it. The joke is this: if law school was 2 years, I'd go. It's 3. It's too much. I can't do it. They can't do 3 years. So, I don't. I have talked about this multiple times. My wife jokes and says we have two little kids. We have a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so my wife's like, please, just wait 2 more years before you do anything, because the last thing I need you being more busy right now. But I think my calling may not be as a lawyer. I think my calling is more to spread the message, which I actually honestly think I do a better job at and have more credibility as not a lawyer. The second I'm a lawyer and I go up and tell my story, I feel people feel like I'm just trying to get clients, right? So I'm fear mongering to get clients versus being someone on the other side and telling the story.
So Tellman was asking before I diverted us away from it a bit. Where's the dive-in point?
Yeah. Get the book is what I would tell everyone. So go to don'tsaythat.com. Yeah. Go to don'tsaythat.com. And there's 2 things on that page you'll see. One is our podcast. So we're up to 44 episodes now. It's a fascinating podcast. We don't hold anything back. We dive into concepts. We dive into everything that's going on, the current regulation. We just released a fascinating episode yesterday about if you do recurring and subscription-based revenue, you got to watch it. And also, on don'tsaythat.com.
Also new laws coming out for the subscription-based stuff too, I hear.
They're already out. They're out. So they go into effect in April, but they're out. The laws are already released.
Oh, okay, and it's basically I'm sorry, I did hear it on a different podcast. It's something along the lines of, it has to be as easy for you to opt out of a subscription as it did for you to get in.
Cancel. It has to be as easy to cancel as it was to get into it. That's one of the many rules. But they have rules against save the sale. So you know how when you're trying to cancel, they're like, well, we'll give you half off. And there's rules on how you can do that. Now you have to track that. Every time you make those offers, you have to keep a record of it now. Well, next week, we're releasing the episode about all the changes to telesales rules. There's a moment on this episode next week that releases where I literally was speechless because it's a big change. It's a huge change. No one's talking about it. It came out 2 weeks ago. Nobody is talking about it. It impacts every one of our friends. It impacts every single one of us who does the sales calls. And it's pretty cumbersome. You got to go through a lot of work to get it to be in compliance. So don'tsaythat.com. You can go to the podcast, or from don'tsaythat.com, you can go to the book sales page. We have a digital version for $7, and you can get if you're in the US, you can get a shipped version for $10. We have some upsells after that, the usual marketer stuff. And then, we have a Facebook group that you get to be a part of if you buy the book. So, and the group is hyperactive. So that's where you start. There's other things we can do together, but we start with the book. The rest you'll find your way.
Rock and roll. Well, I haven't read it yet, and I definitely am looking forward to it. So I really like the trajectory you're on, Anik, and I really appreciate the sincere, from the heart, like genuine life story behind the whole thing and what you're working on and working toward. It's really great. It seems like you're really in alignment with where you're going and what you're working on. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, congrats on that for sure. Well, it's been about an hour. We're getting close to our hour. Do we? I did have another question, but it was going to take us down a totally different tangent. I feel like that's a good button on the whole thing, unless you guys disagree.
I think this is good. Seems like a good breaking point.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Anik, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, man, of course.
I actually have 2 questions for you before we wrap up.
Oh my gosh, Tellman.
Right. This is important. This is a thing we talked about, Harris. All right. So, okay, Anik, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your experience on episode 46 of the Tellman and Fellman Show?
Oh, dude, this is a 10. It was a lot of fun.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah. Rock and roll. So, who would you nominate to be our next special guest? But here's the thing. You only have 1 nomination.
And they have to be an OG?
They don't have to be an OG. Nope. But that is where we've been starting. So no,
you do have to be able to connect.
It could be someone new that we absolutely should interview, and it could be an OG. So we're expanding the community.
You know what? You guys, I'll nominate Ron Douglas.
Ooh, we haven't interviewed Ron yet. That'd be great.
No, I'll interview Ron. Yeah, Ron.
We won't be interviewing him in November, that's for sure. He's got webinar on, but
well, you'd be surprised. He might hop on soon. Yeah, I mean,
that's
Ron's
awesome. What a great idea. Yeah, we haven't asked Ron yet, so he's a perfect person. All right, cool. Well, we will.
Ron's great.
We will let him know that he's nominated and see if we can get him on the show.
Sounds good, guys.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's it.
All right, guys. Go to don'tsaythat.com and buy Anik's book. Read it. Implement it. Do your best to save your business from getting destroyed by the FTC.
I don't know, man. I'm scared. It makes me want to like just I think I'm just gonna stick to comedy and magic.
That's
I don't have to worry too much.
I'm sure there's a regulator for that too, man. The FCC.
It's called the audience. It's called the audience.
Yeah, the FCC. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again for being here. Thanks for everybody for watching. This has been episode 40. Did we say 6? Of the Tellman and Fellman show. You'd think it'd be right in front of me, but no, I'm not that organized. Thanks, guys.
Rock and roll. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.